What's up, everyone? This is Betamax. My name's Fidel, and joining me on this very special episode is Eddie and our very good friend Nikki from DAZE. What's up, Nikki?
What's up?
How are you
I'm
enjoying Halloween so far?
it's been it's been really spooky.
Yeah,
October was a rough one, but it's been good. It's been good. It's been
yeah.
rough but good. Yeah.
I'm sorry, Eddie. How have you been?
I've been good. I've been here with you.
Yeah, yeah. We're carving pumpkins, and we put it on pause real quick, so we're gonna continue once we're done with this episode, which is gonna be our very first video podcast episode. So I'm pretty excited about that.
Yeah, I want to go do pumpkins. Thanks for the invite.
Drive over here right now.
Yeah, 3,000 miles away. No, whatever. 2,000 miles away, whatever the hell it is.
All right, so on this episode, you actually are the one that gave me the idea to do this episode, Nikki, about because you like. I just want to say, if I say anything that's like insulting, just let me know. Just because I'm ignorant to the fact of all this, you know.
Yeah, I'll let you
All
know.
right, so
That goes for me too.
yeah, so what we're gonna be talking about is witchcraft, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, so first off, how did you get into it?
So like my mom is, we're Mexican, my family's from Jalisco, and she's super into like herbs and like aromatherapy and stuff like that. And she's super Catholic, but I think that honestly Catholicism is an actual gateway drug into witchcraft.
Gateway drug?
Like I think it literally goes hand in hand because Catholicism is paganism just with a book, you know. So I don't know. I just like early memories of like my mom doing like curadera stuff, and like my earliest memory is when my mom told me when I was like a little kid that my family lives in this city in Mexico, Casihuatlan. So it's like 2 hours from Guadalajara or 4 hours or whatever. And when I was a baby, apparently got super sick on our trip to Mexico. And this lady in a cerro like massaged my tummy,
Mhm.
and like I like vomited aggressively, but like I was no longer sick. But my mom said that like it's because I had like ojo or something. And ever since then I'm like, dude, I wonder what that like if that lady was a bruja. Like I never got to meet her, of course, but I was like, she had to be a bruja. She was a curadera, like, like and that's like my earliest memory is like that, and like hearing stories of my dad's family,
Mhm.
who's also from Jalisco. He's from a city called Tecolotlan, which means city of owls. And like the lechuza is a huge story there, which is the witch owl.
Yeah,
It's
I
kind of
remember you
like,
telling me about that.
yeah, so like the lechuza is like a Mexican folklore, but most folklore is based on like a cult.
Yeah.
And the city of owls is where, like, apparently, I don't know where the lechuza is from.
Mhm.
And I was like, oh man, that's cool because I love owls. Owls are awesome. But I don't know, this is just like, it's so serendipitous that I'm like, I love owls. My dad is from the city of owls. Like, I don't know, it just made sense,
Yeah.
know?
So like you just like how did you start like practicing? How did you become more interested in it and stuff?
I mean, when I was a teenager, I watched like The Craft and stuff, and I was like, damn, these bitches are tight. Like,
Yeah.
I was like, I want to be cool and edgy. I want to wear black. Like, I don't know. My mom didn't let me dress myself till I was like, 14, and I got like skinny jeans for the first time, and I was like, I'm so freaking cool. Like, and all those girls were like witches, right? And
Yeah.
I don't know. I just thought it was cool. And I think at first I was just getting into it because I was so anti-Catholic, going to Catholic school my whole life. I was just like, anything but Catholicism is gonna like, you know, correspond with what I feel. So I was just like, yeah, I want to be edgy, 666. I listen to Whitechapel, yeah.
Whitechapel, holy shit! I haven't heard that name in a while.
I know it's dumb shit, right? But anything to just feel like dark. But
Yeah.
then I don't think it was until I was like 22, 21, and like at that point I've gone through like a lot of trauma, and then I just kind of adopted like certain practices of witchcraft. I got into it slowly, and I think through trauma is I pretty much get better at my practice. Honestly, it's just every time I have trauma I just go to it. I just feel it's organic to me.
Mm. Did you have anything to ask, Eddie?
Yeah. Do you have siblings?
I do. I have an older sister and a little brother and a little sister.
Are any of them into it as well, or?
So I don't know. I guess my little sister she's 22, 23. Kylie, how old are you? I'm sorry, I don't know how old you are. She has just recently been getting into tarot, which is super cool because I'm like, I don't know. She just started getting into it and I don't even want to question it. I'm just excited for her. And she started getting into astrology, which is a huge thing that I like too. And it always starts off as a joke. Like everyone's like, oh, astrology, I'm a Gemini. And like, even though it's a joke at first or like something fun and entertaining, there's merit to it. There's merit. So she just started into it and she's studying it. And it's funny that my mom is like super supportive of it, even though she's really Catholic. I'm like, okay, whatever.
Was she
But I
always supportive?
I don't even call myself a witch around my mom, honestly.
No.
Because like, nah, I'm not gonna have that conversation with her, you know. I'm a bruja, mom. She's like, okay.
How do you think she'd react to it?
I think she'd just be like, "Ay, no dices eso."
Like just
Like,
brush it off?
yeah, pretty much. And I think my dad would be the same way too, because like I don't think they would take it seriously, but I'm pretty much accepted that, and that's okay. Like I don't need to be accepted by it. It's fine. Like it's my personal practice, you know. So it's okay. And my brother, he doesn't care about any of that stuff. And my sister, I just think she's like the queen of like positive thinking. So I'm just gonna say she's like just a wholesome person with positive thinking and positive affirmations. So it's definitely like a woman thing, I think, when people practice witchcraft. Sorry if I'm talking a lot. I'm just like
No, it's fine. It's fine. Are there like different types of witchcraft? You know how like with religion, there's like Catholicism and Christianity.
Yeah, definitely. So like I guess it just depends, like, well, on what part of the country. So, like, what part of the country, what part of the world, right? Most witchcraft is based on like old tradition, like, you know, whatever country you're in, like that type of paganism. So, there's witches that are like curaderas from like Latin America. There's people who are Dianic priestesses who worship the goddess, and they're usually like English or Welsh. There's people that are like into runes and stuff, and that's like, you know, more Nordic paganism. I mean, shit, there's even people that are like Aborigine. You can consider them pagan as well, you know, because they have their own practices, their own things that they do. They just don't call themselves witchcraft, because just because you practice witchcraft doesn't necessarily mean it's a religion. For some people it's hand in hand, but for some people it's not.
How would you consider it a religion?
Whenever it's necessary, I'd say, because it's flexible. I think that's the whole like appeal to witchcraft, is that it can be whatever you want it to be at that point when you need it. You know, so yeah, I would say so. But I also don't like religion, but that's just my personal opinion from growing up in such a Catholic household, you know. So, but some people do consider that religion, and that's great. That's beautiful for them. Like some people need structure, you know,
Yeah.
and that's totally fine.
Yeah. That. So you said so you consider yourself like a witch then?
Oh yeah. When people like, I don't even say like I'm spiritual, because people come up to me, they're like, oh, so you know, I got this crystal, and I'm all about it. I'm like, yeah, crystals are cool, you know.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, you know, and I've been getting into like this and astrology. And then they're like, you know, and I'm reading some psalms for candle prayers, because there's people that like do candle magic, and like it has like you reading psalms from the actual like Bible. And I'm just like, that's cool, not for me. Like I just don't say spiritual anymore. I'm like, no, I'm a witch and I practice witchcraft.
Yeah.
And they're like, and I'm like, it's not that scary, I'm pagan. Like, because if I say pagan, they go straight to like, oh, Vikings. And I'm like, yes. And I'm like, yeah, Vikings are tight. I fuck heavy with Vikings. Like that's the one thing that brought me the closest, is when I went to Iceland. That's like when I knew like this is for me. When I went to Iceland, I just felt like it literally hit me in the face. I'm like, you know what? This is the path that I need. I like Iceland. I love that isolation of nature. I'm a solitary person. When it comes to my practice, this is what I want. So I just tell people I'm a witch because then I'm like, you can think whatever you think about witches, but like I'm a witch.
Yeah, because I mean, people tend, like, when they hear like somebody refer to themselves as a witch, they go to that whole like the Wizard of Oz witch, the ugly witch. Yeah, so
Which is so like awful. I'm like, really? That's what you're gonna think about? Like bad and good? I mean, like the practice is nor bad nor good. It's, there's no such thing as bad magic, good magic. It's a tool. It's not like something to put your values on it. You know what I mean? It's very personal. It's very personal. Like I think it's so dumb when people are like, oh, white magic. I'm a white witch. I only do black magic. I'm like, it's like you're a chef. You got to know how to make soup and you got to know how to make steak. One is not better than the other.
yeah, Eddie can relate to that. He's a chef.
Oh, see, there you go. I mean, like you can't say one is better than the other. One's better. It's like it just matters on what the occasion is and what's going on. You got to cater to what's going on. I'm not against it.
Do you know any witches, Eddie?
Huh?
Do you know any witches?
No, this is my first encounter with one.
Yeah.
What's up? What's up?
Don't get scared.
Don't be scared. Here, I'll be more familiar. I'm just kidding.
Is that like a decoration or is that like an actual hat?
No, it's an actual hat. So like, well, no, not a hat for me. It's too small for my head. I have 3 owls that like are on top of one of my altars, and they all have these little hats. So one of them is from Mexico that my godfather gave me from Tomala. It's like a city.
Owl?
Say it again. What do you say?
Taxidermy owl?
Wait, say that again. I'm sorry.
Taxidermy owl?
Taxidermy owl?
No, I wish. Oh my God, I love taxidermy. No, I can't. They're so expensive.
Yeah, they are.
But it's just like a little like hand crocheted owl from Tomala, whatever. And then I have like a little wooden one from Guadalajara, and then just like a bookend that I found at this local witch store. And they're just looking so cute right there with the little hats on.
What owls attracts you to them?
Say it again.
What about the owls? What is it about them that attracts you?
Owls overall are like bad omens, like I don't know if it's like my mom always said that if you hear an owl, that means someone dies in your family, right? Like I don't know if that's a Mexican thing or not, but I don't know. I like how they're silent and full of wisdom. I'm not a silent person, so I'm like, I wish I could be quiet for fucking once in my life. But they're full of wisdom, and I think it's funny. I just like the instant attraction that I've always had to them. Like I wasn't until I came back. No, I think it was like around the time I was like 19 or 18. I was talking to my dad, and me and my dad are super close. I love my dad, and he told me that about the city of owls, where my family was from, because I had never been to my dad's city in Mexico where he was born.
Yeah.
I died the same day, 2 hours before my grandpa died. I mean, I was born 2 hours before my grandpa died in the same fucking hospital in Linwood, California. And apparently I act just like my grandpa. I talk just like my grandpa, and he loved owls and I love owls. So, and I was like, that's just weird. I'm like a reincarnation of your father, like it's just weird. And they're also birds, and I love birds. Birds are so cool. People think they're stupid, and I'm like, nah, they're just bird smart.
Yeah.
It kind of feels like me. I think people underestimate me. They think I'm like some dummy with like purple hair that does makeup, and I'm like, nah, dude, I'm smart as shit.
Speaking of like doing makeup, I saw you like you're an esthetician, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And you just joined from what I understand, the first like full witch salon, or what is it?
Yeah, so one of my best friends, Sarah, she's been doing hair for like 13 years, and she also is a practitioner, but she's a little bit more low key about it than me. And we pretty much have been friends for a while, and she asked me to join her salon, and we're expanding it. And I told her, what if we focus on like beauty rituals, which is one of the oldest things women do, is beauty rituals. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't have to be like this outlandish, crazy, like, and then do this oil and this smoke. It's not about that. Like, it's about intention, you know,
Yeah.
it's intention. You know, I hate when people were like trying to put on this aesthetic of like perfect Pinterest, Instagram witchcraft. It's like, yo, I got a broom and that's my broom that I sweep all the bad shit out of my house. Like, you know, like it doesn't have, it has to be practical. Witchcraft is practical. People back in the 1600s didn't do stuff because it was cute. They did it because it was practical.
Yeah.
You know, and then like in female connection is a really big thing in beauty rituals. And I told you, I want to bring that to Houston. Like it's something I super believe in. I've always like treated every time I do my own personal makeup, I am never bothered by it. Like sometimes I see my mom, she's like, oh, I don't have any time. Nikki, help me. And I'm over here like, and then I'm like, it's so relaxing to me. Like, even if I'm not doing anything, it's just relaxing. And I was like, I feel like the world has gone away from that. And like, they're like, buy this, buy that, do this, do that. And then you'll get this. And it's like, you don't need all that. You literally do not need all that. It's about just taking care of yourself and like just going back to like self-care and beauty rituals, the same thing. You got to take care of yourself outside and in. And if you're not enjoying it while you're doing it, then you're not doing it for the right reasons, you know?
Mm-hmm. So how does your husband feel about all this?
Oh, he loves it. He loves all the spooky shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, he loves it. We went to Iceland. We went to the Museum of Icelandic Witchcraft.
Oh,
And
wow.
that was one of the scariest shits we've ever gone through, dude. Oh my
Really?
God. It was so cool, but it was so scary. So like this museum is only Icelandic witchcraft. And it's mostly males that practice Icelandic witchcraft. It's just like runes and weird folklore traditions that like the Vikings brought. And it's crazy. Like you walk into the museum in this middle of nowhere island. It's like a fjord in the middle of nowhere, Iceland. Like it's like 4 hours from the freaking city. And you walk into the building and it's like this beautiful black wood, like goth looking building you would see in Iceland, right?
Mhm.
And the lights are flickering. There's nobody in there except for the guy there. And he's so cute. He has like a little like traditional made like wool hat from lamb. And he's like, hey, do you want to walk around? And I'm like, yeah, sure. And he's like, well, here's a necropants, which is basically like this tradition that Icelandic men would wear pants made of skin,
Like
literally
human skin.
human skin, under to, and then in the scrotum where the skin was, they
Yeah.
would put pennies in there for good luck, and they would wear the pants. Yeah, look it up. It's tight, and it would bring good luck and fortune. It's crazy. So just we're walking around. It's like I never been in ice before. It's like snowing, and there's like the lights are flickering, and I'm over here just like reading like this, and I'm just like, but it was so cool. It was just so cool to walk around and like you learn about like the Vikings and how women were empowered by like the people that practice witchcraft. It's just like the total opposite of what I grew up with. You know, like when women had so much like freedom, and it was just so cool to see it. But it was really scary because it was like, dude, we're literally in the middle of nowhere in a fjord. Like this is crazy. Oh, it was wild. It was wild.
What I want to transfer into now is because I noticed that witchcraft is becoming a lot more popular in like pop culture. Like you see it a lot more in movies and stuff, especially in movies.
Yeah.
So do you have any certain feeling about that at all? Like
I love it. I
Yeah.
love it. I mean, bad publicity is still good. It's still publicity. Like I think it's cool. I feel like, well, and I hate to say that it's mostly women because there are, people that practice witchcraft that aren't women,
Mhm.
like my best friend Abraham, he practices, certain things of witchcraft, but like anyone can. But it's always, to me, it always goes back to like women because it's about like female empowerment, because that's just how I personally feel about it. And my favorite witch in general, her name is Pam Grossman. She's written books. I follow her podcast, The Witch Wave. She just talks about it in such an eloquent way about how like the witch is the archetype for a powerful woman, and like it's what society is scared of, as a powerful woman. because they know that, like, you know, we can get it done. We just are oppressed all the time. So I love it. I'm like, if you can see a witch, hell yeah. I just don't like when I see like the really super like, you know, typical like, I'm gonna hex you, and I'm like, well, shit, I'd be doing that too if someone stole my boyfriend, but don't talk about it, shit. You know?
Yeah.
But I like it. I think it's cool. I like the reboot. I feel like the more content, the better, and the less taboo it'll be, you know?
Yeah. And then like you did bring up a point about how like it's mostly women
Mhm.
portrayed as witches. But and you said that men also practice as well.
Mhm.
I
And they're
remember
not
like
warlocks. They're not
that's what
warlocks.
I was
Okay,
gonna
they're just
ask because I
witches.
remember when I was younger, like I was like from what I've read, it's like
From D&D. No, I'm just kidding.
witches are considered warlocks.
That's what I thought.
No, no, dude. Warlock is literally like an English term for thief. It's
Really?
yeah. Like what do you say? Like I have it literally in my book. I think it just means like thief or liar. Like it has nothing to do with like magic at all. I don't know why.
Yeah, I always thought like that was like an actual term for a male witch.
No, it's just a witch or practitioner. I feel like if you say practitioner, people are like, "Oh, what is that?" You know.
So what was the first movie you remember seeing that like I guess properly portrayed what witchcraft is?
The Craft,
Yeah.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you seen The Craft, Eddie?
Yes, it was one of the first movies that I saw. My sister used to watch it all the time. She loved it, and I think that probably was the first movie I saw.
Mm-hmm. It's a good
I
movie.
remember.
I recently we rewatched it and like I remember uh I remember when I first watched it, I really enjoyed it. I liked it a lot. And when I rewatched it this time, it's definitely like I guess you could say dated as far as
Yeah.
as far as like the effects.
Yeah, for sure. And the
Yeah.
music too. I mean, like it's like, ooh.
I love that music though.
I know. You're an old head.
Yeah, hell yeah. But I remember while watching it thinking like, oh, Farouja Balk definitely carries this movie. Like she is so good in this movie. And like
Yeah.
not to take anything away from like Robin Tooney, like the main
No,
character.
yeah, for sure. Yeah.
But for like, I don't know, there was moments in the movie where I felt like she wasn't really into it as much as everyone else.
Yeah, I think so too. But like you said, Fairuza Balk really carried the movie, and she was the one that took it the most seriously because she's an actual practitioner. She's a Wiccan.
Yeah,
Yeah, she's a actual practitioner, and the movie feels genuine and authentic because they had a Dianic priestess on set as a consultant for the ritual. So every ritual on there is pretty legit because it's based off of her Dianic practice. They changed things here and there because they didn't want like girls conjuring, you know, a deity. So
yeah,
Manon is not real, but it's, you know, they just it's made for whatever I would assume her deity is. But all those are pretty much legit,
yeah,
except for like walking on water.
yeah. That was one effect that I was like, okay, that this looks pretty dated. Like it doesn't look.
Yeah. I was like, oh girl, no.
Have you watched it recently, Eddie?
No, it's been a
No?
while. Mhm.
But do you remember liking it though when you saw it?
Yeah, yeah, I did. I think if I were to watch it now, I feel like it'd be really nostalgic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's definitely one of those movies. And
It-
then, like you had mentioned it already that it is being rebooted.
Yeah, and I'm excited for the reboot because they have Pam Grossman as a consultant, and they have the Hood Witch on Instagram, which is one of like a really big influencer, I should say. I hate saying that, but she's like an influencer for like witchcraft, but she's really legit and she's a woman of color. She was Pam Grossman's first guest on the Witch Wave in 2017, and she was glamour makeup. She was like glamour magic and makeup magic. So I was like on it. Like you got me hooked on episode 1. I was like, this is not what I like. But so even though it's going to be super cringy like for teenagers nowadays, I mean that's kind of what the market should be for. It shouldn't be
Yeah,
for people like me. I'm already past it. Like I'm already involved. You know, it needs to spark younger people. So yeah, I'm probably not going to like it 100%, but I'm still going to really appreciate it for what it is, you know?
yeah,
And
and
that's the whole thing.
yeah, and I remember like I think you told me about it. Like I had no idea it was happening, so I looked it up, and I watched the trailer, and it's actually like not a reboot. It's actually a sequel.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, like you said, it wasn't geared towards me.
No, it's not geared towards any of us. If any of us like it, if you like it, I'm concerned.
Eddie said he was down for it. Like he's like, oh, this is 100% all mine, man.
Oh, sure.
But I mean, imagine being like a little like 14-year-old girl, or like a little like gay, like a gay boy, like 14, 15. You're just like, whoa, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
this
the
is definitely
impression.
geared towards them.
Yeah, and that's good. You know, like I
Yeah.
said, it's good. They need to have something in that market to really grow, you know, and the whole thing, the whole group, I guess I should say.
Yeah. And another movie I wanted to mention was the aptly titled The Witch, or The Vivid.
Oh, what a beautiful movie. That movie, that's like my like feel good movie.
Really?
I watch it and I'm like, oh, Thomason, why couldn't I be you?
Eddie's the one that actually told me about that movie, right?
Oh, it's a beautiful movie.
Yeah,
it's a beautiful movie.
How did you like? What did you think of it, Eddie, when you saw it?
I loved it. I remember me and you went to go watch it in theaters, and it was pretty empty. I think it was just us two and like 3 other kids that walked in there, and the other group that was in there they were just on their phone the entire time.
Yeah.
And I was just like, as soon as I saw them, I'm just like, I was judging them. I'm like, yeah, they're not gonna pay attention at all.
Yeah.
I was right. It was like it's a slow burn movie. It's definitely not for everyone, and I can see why people like don't like it.
Yeah.
Why I don't know. I just don't think they have enough patience for it or interest. But I loved it. I thought it was a gorgeous movie.
Yeah, I loved it too. I remember seeing so much hate for it like online. I was like what? Like this movie was awesome. Like
there's so many layers to that movie too.
Yeah.
Like there's layers about like women's liberation, freaking religion, the 7 sins. I mean, that movie is so abundant in metaphors. And like if you don't really appreciate the research that Eggers did, it's just gonna fly past your ears. It's like even down to like the dialect. You know, that dialect.
Samuel Beach.
Oh my God.
Got intruders over here. Nah, I'm sorry. You brought me a beer, so that's good.
Cheers, y'all.
Let me open it.
It was me and Bernie. Cheers. Me and Bernie.
Oh, okay.
Just kidding. Here. So what are we talking about?
All right. So, I'm sorry. What were you saying before?
Hey, Nikki.
Skull. I was saying that movie has so many layers, and if you really don't appreciate the research that Eggers did, it's gonna fly past your head. Like you're just it's a movie that's like you need to watch it and really appreciate it. Like I was saying, the dialect is so good because it's a New England folklore tale when the freaking Puritans came to America. So like their language was still Bible based. So everything they were saying was like literally their whole vernacular was about God 24/7. Could you imagine that?
I'll imagine
like talking.
I love that you just created Babel. Like the hottest word of 2020.
Babil.
Have you seen The Crucible?
I haven't seen The Crucible, but that is on my list. It's about that too, right? Like it's from, like,
it's
2000.
about like the Salem witch trials. But I remember I saw that movie in high school, and I thought it was great. Daniel Day-Lewis, like he can't do that.
Oh, okay, yeah, then he can't do no good. He can't do no.
But then I remember watching it as an adult, and I was like, wow, like there's a lot of overacting in this movie.
What's this priest talking about?
Like a lot.
Oh, like I feel like in The Witch too, like the parts where the witch came out, like were so finessed in such a good way. Like the baby grinding ritual, like the levitation, like that stuff was amazing. Down to like the corn rot, like that was amazing because literally it's all linked together. Like they say that the witch is haunting them, but it's actually like this, Black Phillip. But the way they linked the fact that their crops weren't doing well, it's because it had ergot or ergot, what I don't know how to pronounce it. And ergot is a psychedelic fungi that women back in the day would use to rub on broomsticks to masturbate with, and the orgasm was them levitating because that's madness. Yeah. So where there's ergo, there's witches.
Hey, is Bernie drunk?
Yes.
So that's
Yeah, Sydney got Bernie drunk.
No.
Yes,
that's
he did.
possible now.
No one
That's-
told us to drink that third beer because
Hey, Bertie wants to know if you have a broom in the house.
Man, Sydney is a succubus now.
Do we have any Salem era brooms in the house?
Tell Birdie, ask Birdie. But no, yeah, it's really cool. That movie is amazing. It's definitely, like I said, a feel-good movie for me. That one and Midsommar for sure.
Oh yeah, Midsommar. Like I'm used to saying Midsummer. I know that's not how it's said. It's just
No, fucking dummy ass fool.
Oh my god.
Don't talk to this fool.
look at the drunk ass Birdie. Fuck
I'm
out
not,
of here.
I'm not drunk. I'm not drunk. Bye, Nikki.
Bye.
Fucking intruders. Sydney brought me a beer. She's cool.
Lightweight as Birdie. One beer, I'm done. I'm faded. And he was like, Nikki, you don't drink? And I'm like, no, dude. He's like, I thought you've been lit this whole time. I'm like, nah, dude, I'm just full of energy.
Now Eddie doesn't drink either.
Now he does.
Got drunk off Birdie's breath, Eddie.
Oh.
These
No,
smell like pure alcohol.
He has the Topo Chico. He has that static water.
Yeah, grab one of my Topo Chicos. That's cool.
I was gonna ask you, but
Yeah, it's fine. I don't care. But yeah, going back to Midsommar. Okay, how do you pronounce it? Midsommar?
Midsommar. Mhm.
Midsommar?
Mhm.
Does that mean anything like specific?
Just the middle of summer.
Oh, okay. So
That's pretty much it.
what in that movie seemed like, I guess, pretty accurate? Like, was there anything that wasn't like as accurate as it can be?
That movie was 100% accurate. Ari Aster is a god at researching, even for Hereditary too, but really more so for Midsommar. Like, even down to the runes on their clothes, there was like hidden Easter eggs for runes on everything. I mean, the color of the temple is the alchemical sign of fire. Like the triangle, and yellow is a sign of Gemini, which is the season of the midsummer. Like, it's just everything is linked so nicely. I mean, 9 is a really sacred number to people who practice like Nordic paganism, whether it be like runes or whatever. And the 9 is such a repeating thing. They have like the 9 times that Danny was drugged. They have the 9 bodies that were killed. Obviously, this movie is about a cult. Duh, it's a cult. Is it realistic? I don't know. I'm sure in Sweden, there's somebody fucking out there in Harga, God's, freaking Swedish land, that there is a commune like this, but it was so like reoccurring throughout the whole movie where something like this is real. Like, everything is about seasons. It was just beautiful. And like the whole thing was just beautiful to me. Like, there's nothing that I don't like about that movie. Absolutely nothing that I don't like. And I really like too how the whole movie is like The Witch is so heavy with metaphors. It can go for like it could be a breakup movie. It could be a movie about a cult, being brainwashed about a cult. It could be a movie about the cycles of life and like how we're all a part of the cogs, like how everyone is so into like, okay, my time is done. I'm gonna sacrifice myself so then someone else can take my place. So my energy is given to them. Like, to me, that's a beautiful thing. I'm not against jumping off the Atasupa if it wasn't illegal, but I'm not against it, dude. Because like at that point, at 76, 70, I'm like, do I really want to keep on going, dude? Like I can barely even walk, Like, I don't know, man.
I guess I can respect the fact that like the whole I'm taking my own, like I'm making the choice. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I
Like,
mean,
it's
like
my choice to do it.
it's different when it's like a sad suicide, but when it's like whenever it's like a giving back to them, it was a ceremony of passing. It's not like suicide. You know what I mean? It's they're giving their body to their higher powers to give them a better crop for the next year. I mean, that ceremony was only 1 in 90 years. Like I said, is it real? Probably not. But I mean, I'm not gonna say that it's not completely real because I don't live in Sweden.
Yeah.
You know, I don't live in Sweden. It was just really good. It was a really good movie.
What was your impression of the movie, Eddie?
Just like Nikki, I thought it was a perfect film. It's gorgeous. The amount of detail in that movie is just phenomenal. Ari Aster's, I think he's my favorite director working right now.
Yeah.
I think so too. I think so too.
Yeah, him and Gaspar Noel. But yeah, man, that movie, like that was my favorite movie of what was it, 2019?
2018, yeah.
And then before that, on 2018, Hereditary was my favorite.
Oh, and that's an amazing movie too. It's not so much about witchcraft, but it has a lot of like Satanism in it, you know, which is it's not like a branch of witchcraft, but the Satanist occult stuff in there, it's pretty spot on too, because it's basically like a cult that worships the demons. It's mostly like demonology. It was really good too.
When I did my research for that movie, like I discovered like the Paimon, he was like people actually worship him. Like you can find like people like blogs about it, and people like really like asking him to give back to them and stuff like that. So it's,
there's literally like the lesser, what is it, the lesser seal, the lesser key of Solomon. Like there's a whole thing about like how to invoke him and stuff. Would I do that? Nah, man, I don't fuck with that. Nah, dude, even I have my limits. Asking someone to do my bidding, nah, I'm good.
Yeah. No, but going back to Midsommar, I mean, just like you said, like all the detail, all the little things in the background that are hidden.
Yeah.
That, if you're not paying attention, you'll miss it. But to me, my favorite thing about that film was the music.
Oh my God, yes.
It's called Fire Temple. It is amazing. It's the most gorgeous thing I've ever seen. That song playing while that little building's catching on fire and everyone in there is burning alive. And she's just like crying her ass off, but then at the end of that cry, she's just smiling.
Yeah, because she got her release. I mean, like it's a combination of like getting her release, and then also kind of like that's the first time she smiles in like the whole movie.
The entire film, yes.
Yeah.
So it's like, man, that accompanied with that music was just perfect.
Yeah, I don't even know who did the soundtrack for that one. I forget who did that.
I don't remember his name, but it was Bobby Krilik, I think.
Oh yeah. Because he did the same. He did it for what other movie has he done? What was another movie he did?
I'm not too sure.
The Lighthouse.
Oh yeah, that's right.
The Lighthouse. Yeah, The Lighthouse. So
one thing that I also really loved about Midsommar is like it was successful in making you feel uneasy and like conveying that dread, but it's such a bright film.
Oh, see, I didn't feel like that at all, man. Like
really?
all of the trauma and stuff, like I was spooked out a little bit when I would get the little jump scares, because I was like, oh, just to the jump scares, but I'm also just scared of like the dark. So I'm like, oh my God, what's going on? But I didn't feel uneasy at all. I really, like, the whole time was just so depressed for Danny.
One thing that someone pointed out to me, I've never done shrooms or acid or anything like that, but I have friends who have, and they said that that's like a realistic way that you'll see when you're on acid or shrooms, like the way flowers like moving and like pulsating and stuff like that.
Oh shit.
And I think that's pretty cool because it's like energy pulsating,
Yeah. So it's like alive, like when she looks at the ground and like her feet like are becoming part of the grass, like stuff like that. Like they say that that's what it really feels like when you're on shrooms,
Oh shit. So, hey, let's do it.
Never. No. No. It'll just be me and Eddie watching Fidel like this.
Oh.
I'm not down. I'm not down for psychedelics.
Nah.
That shit scares me.
I'm too scared. I don't want to drink the tea. I don't want to drink the tea.
I feel like it would just freak me out way too much. And like I don't know. It's too scary for me.
A lot of people that practice witchcraft like to do psychedelics and be in an altered state of mind when they meditate and stuff. But I'm just like, that's not for me. I feel like I don't need to be in an altered state of mind to obtain knowledge in any way, So, but that's a really common thing. I mean, the shamans did it, Native Americans did it,
Mm-hmm.
But I think it was also just to calm themselves in general from like everything that's going on in the world, So, but yeah, that's a great movie. That's an amazing, amazing movie that I watch all the time.
Yeah.
hmm
And okay, so what about Hereditary? You said Hereditary doesn't really show a lot of like witchcraft stuff.
No, I mean it has like there's a scene where they do like you like whenever what's his name? What's her name? Tony her
Toni Collette?
character.
Or her
The mother. Yeah,
Okay.
whenever Toni Collette goes back to the woman's house, the woman that has the pillow that has the sign of Paimon,
Yeah.
and then like the camera goes into her room and you see like the puppets and you see like the photos and you basically see like a little like thing of how the end scene's gonna be where it's like Charlie's head and everything, like that little layout she has of like a ritual. It looked pretty spot on. It was just kind of like a manifestation table. I was like, okay, it has puppets, things are gonna happen, it looks like it has intention. That was pretty legit. I mean, whenever you want something to happen, you set an altar for it and you just do everything accordingly to what you want with the elements and stuff. But since they're practicing more like that type of Satanism, hermeticist, whatever it's called, I don't know how that practice is, but I would assume by the layout it looks pretty legit. To me, it looks pretty legit. So, but I'm trying to think what else it was. Yeah, the candle placement looked good. And then just the sigils, like all the sigils they had, which is just a symbol, was just everything had like the imprint of Paimon. And that's pretty normal, like sigil witchcraft, to like put intent on a sign and put it on. That's been going on. I mean, like the cross is a sigil, for God's sakes. It's intention on a symbol. So that was pretty cool.
Did you like Hereditary overall?
I liked it overall. I was a little bit more intense for that movie just because it's dark.
Yeah.
That movie is fucking terrifying.
Yeah.
I liked it and the music was super like because it was the Colin, whatever his name, did the soundtrack. But towards the end, like I felt that release that I wanted, like whenever it was like the music, when it was like swelling, like whenever Paimon was about to, like whenever he gets invoked, apparently like it's about like trumpets and cello and strings, and that's the music you hear at the end when he's reborn. And I was like, dude, I just instantly felt like my body went like this and went I was like, yes, he's here, fuck, I'm excited. I was excited, and but the movie, I was kind of intense just because I don't get sleep paralysis. Maybe like once or twice it's happened, and it fucking scared me. And Abraham, Abraham, my best friend, he has sleep paralysis all the time, and he tells me about it, and I'm just like, no, I can't. To me, that's like terrifying. Like, cause my memory of sleep paralysis was just so bad that anytime I see or think of like a shadowy figure, I'm like, go get the Palo Santo. Like, I can't do this right now. Like, I can't do this. Like, I get way too intense when, like, if you see a shadowy figure or you see something that's a deity in your house, I don't want anyone in my house. I'm like, no, this is my house. Out. Like, no. Some people, want them in their house for protection and stuff. I would rather not have anyone in my house because you just never know what anyone's intentions are except yours.
Yeah.
That's why I'm not part of a coven. One day I would probably be comfortable, but not right now. I don't trust anyone in something so intimate like that, Yeah. I think the only person I've ever done a spell with is Abraham, and I think it's because he's just starting out and he was like, I trust you, and I'm like, I trust you too, and that's pretty much it, but I'm like, nah, man. I was like, there's parts of Hereditary, like when she's in the corner of the wall, I was like, okay, yo, that's ooh. And I didn't notice it until like 20 minutes, 20 minutes after the tension. I'm just like staring at him in the bed, and I'm like, like you just see me like freak out, and James is like, oh.
Yeah, that would creep me out, man.
We watched it in complete darkness in the house, and I'm like, what am I doing to myself?
Great to watch it.
Oh, that's how it was whenever I watched The Fourth Kind, not related to witchcraft, but I watched that movie. Scared the shit out of me. I was
Which
like,
one's that one?
That's the one with Mila Jovovich, and like it's aliens and there's an owl.
Oh yeah. And it
Dude.
supposedly shows like real footage or something.
Yeah, real life footage, right? And I was
Yeah.
like, oh, like that was the last movie that scared the living shit out of me. And like me and my little brother, I think I was like 12 or 13 at the time. And we ended up sleeping in the same bed for like weeks. We're so scared. We're like, no, leave the light on.
This is random, but have you ever watched The Babadook?
No.
Oh, you muted.
Oh, I said, no, I haven't. But James watched The Babadook and he told me it was scary.
I think that's the scariest movie I've ever seen.
Yeah, he said it was pretty intense. And I'm like,
You should
oh, no.
Watch it. I think you'd like the message in it, especially with the female lead. She's amazing.
Oh yeah.
I'll think about it because does it have like possession and astral projection in it?
No.
No, okay, because that's like those are two things that are so hard for me to watch. Like
It's more psychological than anything, but it's pretty much a monster, but the monster is a metaphor for grief and frustration.
Oh, okay.
And so watch it. It's awesome.
It's really good. It's really good.
Okay, I'll watch it with all the lights on during the day.
Yeah.
But I'm like, should I watch it though if I am going through grief? Oh, I don't know. I'll think about it. Maybe I'll give it some time.
Harder.
Yeah, so then maybe I should watch it. No, I need to invoke feelings.
Yeah. But another movie I wanted to mention was The Ritual.
Oh, that's a good movie too.
Yeah.
That's a movie about grief. All these movies are about grief, you know, like it's because grief is scary, you know?
Oh yeah, it definitely is.
Grief is scary. And how do people cope with grief? I mean, spiritual things, I guess. The Ritual is good though. It's definitely nice to see more male characters going through like grief versus like women crying all the time. So that's one thing I liked about it. And that monster is one of the coolest monsters I've seen like in modern movies. Yeah. That was a really cool monster, the Jotun.
So how much of the lore of that movie is based on like actual stuff?
So that movie is kind of twisted. So like the main character, let me take my notes. Hold on. Yeah. So yeah, the wooden effigy with the wooden altar. Remember like the guy was praying naked?
Yeah.
So that monster pretty much was based off of like H.P. Lovecraft kind of, mm-hmm. but also on Norse gods and like the son of Loki. Yeah, like Loki, like from like Marvel movies. And like that's one of his
God of mischief.
Yeah, that's one of his bastard sons.
Yeah.
So like, but the director and creative director of it kind of like morphed it to make it a little bit more like him, because the sigil you see in the home on the trees, what is it called? Algus. It's Othala. That's the little triangle. Mm-hmm. That means home and goddess. And then the little rune that looks like this and down, Algis. That's the rune. It means elk. So that's the Jotun's home, is that woods. So that's why at the end the Jotun doesn't follow him, because he overcame his grief, and that's his home, is the woods. That's the depression is his home, because he feeds off the souls of grieving people. That's what the Jotun does. That's his followers, is people that have gone through so much depression and so much grief that they just worship him to get to like live forever, but live in their grief. And that's based off Nordic gods and goddesses.
I can't remember like how I came across that movie, because I remember seeing it on Netflix for a while, and I don't know, at that time I was just like not trusting of I think it's a Netflix original, isn't it?
It is. Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Yeah, like at that time I wasn't trusting of Netflix original films. I was like, it's not going to be that great. Like, and I just one day, I think it might have been my ex. She was like, oh, like we should watch it. So we ended up watching it, and I loved it. I thought it was so good. Like it surprised me. And like I don't know if it was maybe because my expectations of it were so low, but I thought it was great.
The reason I watched it, I think honestly, was because of the antlers. Like I like taxidermy, and it looked real spooky. And I'm like, and then in the little, like, you know how Netflix has a little preview? Yeah. I remember the video. It was the guy had like all these spots on his chest from being attacked by the demon, and it's funny because the spots the claw mark essentially looks like Thor's hammer in Icelandic magic. So it caught my attention. I was like, oh, it's a Mjolnir, like, you know, like a little Mjolnir sigil. And I'm like, oh, that's weird. And I just thought that was cool that it caught my attention. I was like, oh, okay, this must be about Sweden or some shit. And I was like, oh shit, it really is. So I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna watch this movie. And then I was surprised that it's basically kind of like another version of like what modern, I guess, horror is now, which is modern horror, like that type of horror I like. I don't know if it's considered horror though. I'm like, is it just drama? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Have you seen it, Eddie?
Yeah, I saw it. I think right when they put it on Netflix. I enjoyed it. I didn't take as much of it from it as like these other movies we talked about, but I enjoyed it. I just I didn't do any research, so I think I just left kind of more confused.
Yeah.
I didn't look into it as much as I did the other films. But like now that you said like all this stuff, Nikki, like I'm kind of like, oh, okay, that makes sense, or that's what this was, or this.
Yeah, like there's a lot of like you have to really pay attention when people want to use like Swedish Nordic paganism stuff is really in the sigils. Like the runes in the sigils will tell you literally what the movie's about, because that's what Midsommar was about. During the scene where she puts the blood on the hands before the ritual, that is a 9-block rune that tells you the entire story through runic.
Oh wow.
Yeah, just like they have like the banner with artwork tells you the whole story.
Yeah.
Like they have that whole thing is basically telling you about the whole journey of Danny.
Yeah, it like ruins the movie for you without you even knowing.
Yeah, but none of us speak runic, so how the fuck are we?
Is that something you can learn though?
Yeah, you can actually.
Yeah.
And it's going to be for ceremonial purposes, you know, like no one actually speaks like Old Norse like in Vikings and shit, you know, but like if you I know, right? If you met someone that practices ceremonial magic, 9 times out of 10 it's a fucking guy. Sorry guys. It's a guy, and they're like usually, you know, have runes and stuff, and unfortunately there are like some bad connotations to runes nowadays because, you know, like the freaking nationalists use some of them, which is so stupid. But I mean, that goes without saying for anything. Any good thing can be ruined, right? But yeah, you can actually like write runes and like pass it on in notes and learn how to read it and stuff. It's just really hard because it's not like a phonetic alphabet. Like it's kind of like Japanese or Chinese, where it's like symbols mean like kind of like a whole thing, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to pronounce. Like I feel like if you speak Spanish, you end up saying everything with like a Spanish accent. You're like altrus, algris, giritras. You're like you just say it real Mexican or something. I'm just like, oh damn, that's not what I'm trying to say. I'm not trying to say osala. But it's cool, and I like the way it looks. So it just looks really simple because they don't have like back in the day they didn't have like those people didn't have a written language. They weren't like I shouldn't say civilized, but they weren't as like forward with literature. So all they had was runes. They would just carve it onto knives. But I think that's kind of beautiful because it's like you really didn't need that much words to say what you wanted to say. You just, you know, you wanted someone to fall in love with you, put your blood on it. Here you go. And I'd be like, oh, thank you. You know, that's so sweet. Wow.
Well, another movie I wanted to mention, I kind of lagged on. I only watched like half of it. Was Suspiria.
Yeah, that movie.
Original.
Oh, have you seen it, Eddie, or no?
Yes, many times.
Okay, yeah, the original one. I personally really like it. As a movie itself, dialogue's kind of weird because it has like that overdub, you know, like those movies. But visually, oh my god, that movie is so beautiful.
Oh yeah, that's one thing. Like from what I did watch, that's one thing I did take away from it. I was like, wow, this is like visually awesome.
Yeah, so beautiful.
So many colors.
Oh my god, yeah. I think it was one of the last movies to be shot in like Technicolor too.
Oh really?
Yeah, like it was one of the last movies. But I mean, there's not that much witchcraft in there. But when I was doing like all this research about it, apparently it's kind of like a witch coven meets Cinderella or something like that, or Snow White or something. Like it meets like the fairy princess. And once I read about that, I'm like, okay, that's cool. So it's like a witch in the traditional sense of like a woman wants someone who's beautiful because she's jealous. And like I liked that it was it would when you would hear like the witch, you hear witches. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I noticed that.
I thought that was cute.
Whispering and like weird stuff like that in the film.
Yeah, I like that. I was like, ooh, spooky, what's gonna happen? And then you hear the little glare, you're like, oh, she got a sleeping spell, which is a really big thing. Sleeping spells are actually a thing. Like in Iceland, they carve runes and they like put it under their pillow with essential oils to help them dream or
Oh,
make them go
wow.
to or make them go to I mean, we do that. We put lavender in our body wash and stuff like that. So it's
Yeah.
still practice. It's just in different thing. But I love Suspiria, and I don't know. I thought it was a more lighthearted, even though it's like beautiful gore, right? It was a lighthearted version of like a witch that was like easy to watch, but it made it pretty, and I like that. Like it made it so like I feel like if I was living in those times, like whatever was that, the 70s, the 80s
Yeah.
that it was made,
70s, I think.
man, I'd be like, dude, I want to be a witch in fucking Germany. Damn, like I don't know, it just looks so pretty. Like,
Did you ever watch the remake?
say it again.
Did you ever watch the remake?
No, I haven't watched it, but it has that actress. I always forget her. Tilda Swinton.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to watch it. I just haven't haven't had the time to watch it yet.
What were you gonna say, Eddie?
No, just really quick back to the original. The first time I watched it, I thought the dialogue was kind of weird. I'm like, because they act really childish in that film.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And when I did my research, he had originally cast younger girls, like 10-year-old, 11-year-olds.
Oh.
But because all the gore, they didn't want to release it with like, little girls dying. So, but Dario Argento, the director, was like dead set, like, well, he was pissed off about the idea of like getting older girls to play like these younger parts. So he said, all right, but I'm not changing the dialogue. So they act really whiny in the film.
Yeah.
So like, but like if you go into it with that aspect, like these were supposed to be like 10-year-olds, like it kind of makes sense.
Yeah, for
That does
sure.
I think it would have been a better film if they did get like younger girls. Like it would have added to that like fairy tale-ness, I guess. Like
Mhm.
these little girls, not these fucking like adults, like throwing little tantrums and stuff.
Yeah.
But anyways, yeah. Back to the remake. I think it is a superior film in every way possible.
Really?
Yeah. I think you would enjoy it more, Nikki, just because it dives more into actual witchcraft than the original one does. And it has, I think there's only 2 males in the whole entire film.
Yeah, I think so.
The rest of the cast is just all female, including one of the leads, which is what was her name? The main witch.
Tilda Swinton?
Yeah, she plays they do makeup and stuff, so she plays this older guy too. So she plays
Cool.
2 different
Oh, that's right. That's right.
That's cool.
Yeah,
No,
but
it's definitely on my list. That one and another movie that I watched a long time ago, like years ago, and I think you guys would like it too. But it's in Finnish. It's not in English, and it's about like this conqueror coming to this island in Finland, and the island is still like pagan based, and it's about a midwife. And like they cast them as witches and trying to kill everybody because it's like a Christian conqueror almost. And I've been trying to watch that movie too. I forget the name of it, but it's so good. And it's in Finnish. I can't remember the goddamn name, but you guys would like it a lot. It's super witch vibes, like the witch vibes. Like it's shot really nicely too. So,
You guys send it to me once you find out what it's called.
it's called The Finnish Witch. No, it's called Finnish. Finnish. I don't know.
Well, I know you had mentioned a movie I think called The Love Witch.
Oh yeah, so that movie, I told Bertie to watch it, and I wasn't able to watch all of it because I've only watched parts of it because I found out about it because of the Witch Wave. Pam Grossman did a whole interview with the director because she directed it, she starred in it, she did the makeup, she did everything. Like,
Yeah, she Tommy Wiseau.
ooh, but she's a better version. But it's crazy though because it took her years to make it, but it's about sex magic, so it's real raunchy and it looks like super mid-century modern, like Maximus or something. Like, oh my god, it's like over the top, like looks like it's trying to be vintage, then you see like a modern car in the background. I'm like, what the hell? But all of it, every ritual is legit witchcraft. Like She uses like sex magic, blood magic. I haven't been able to watch the whole thing, so I don't want to talk too much about it. But that movie is 100% legit.
Yeah.
Oh, I just broke my pen. But it's 100% legit, yeah. And I told Birdie to watch it because I'm like, hey, you'll like it. It's raunchy. He's like sick.
Horny ass birdie.
Yeah, horny Birdie, pretty much. But I need to finish that one though. I just haven't had the time, dude. This whole month is like, I get so excited every year for October because I'm like, this is my month, and then it's like, nah, it ain't though.
Yeah, life is just like, nope.
Pretty much, yeah. Oh,
Well, I know. Recently, you watched Lords of Salem also.
why did you make me watch Lords of Salem? Why? Why? That, you know what? This reminds me of the fucking Green Inferno. Like, where he's like, hey, watch this movie. And
okay, I will admit, I enjoyed Lords of Salem.
Have you seen Lords of Salem, Eddie?
Yeah, I enjoyed it too.
Yeah.
No.
What did you not enjoy about that film?
The one redeeming thing about that movie is that they use music magic. And I really like that the reason why the song feels so weird is because apparently they use the the Phrygian scale of music, which apparently gives it that like really scary, like weird tone. I looked more into it, and then apparently in the 11th century, monks forbid the scale, saying that it claims to bring evil. And I'm like, that's so cool. Like they use like the actual scale that like monks thought like, oh, el diablo, you know. So that was cool. That was cool, and it is a pretty badass song. When you hear it, you're like, oh shit.
You're talking about the Mozart song? Or...
Yeah. Whenever the witches, the Lords of Salem or whatever, that recording, when they're doing their like naked satanic ritual, that's the Phrygian scale that's forbidden. So that was really cool, you know, that but other than that though, like anytime it goes straight to satanic witches, I'm like, really, you just had to go there, Hollywood? Come on, like
They go to like those dirty, like really gross looking witches, or
yeah, and I'm like, and that's fine. But it's also just the practice of like satanic witchcraft. I'm like, that goes back to like what people think about witches, is signing the book of the devil. It's not about that, man. You know, like that's what they think witches is that's what the Christians think is when you sign the book of the devil. Even Sabrina, the Chilling Tales of Sabrina did that. And I'm like, that's cool. Trust me, I'm all about the spookiness, but also like, I guess to get people's attention, it's edgy. You know, that's how I felt about this movie, is it was just trying to be edgy. And I'm like, ugh. And I also don't like Rob Zombie's wife, man. Like, she doesn't look good in this movie. I'm sorry, girl. Get those...
You don't like Sherry Moon Zombie?
Not in those dreads, no. But the movie was okay. I just felt like there was things here and there. You know, you see like the sigil's kind of cool because apparently like it's supposed to be like the astrological sign of like Mercury. So it's like a battle sigil because you know they talk about the battle of like evil versus good, and there's 3 witches, and in satanic witchcraft apparently 3 equals darkness, chaos, and conflict, and those are the 3 witches that are her neighbors. So that's cool, you know. But you know, I liked that whenever you saw the devil, it was bright, and I was like, okay, that's cool. When you see the devil, it's bright, it's light, because that's what apparently it was like when you see the devil, you see bright light, you know. So that was pretty cool that it wasn't like dark and spooky. Anytime
isn't like the devil considered like the morning star? Like
yeah. So I thought that was really cool that it was like, you know, bright versus like evil, dark, and spooky. And I'm like, dude, if we really saw someone of power, wouldn't you think it'd be bright, you know?
Yeah. But it was, you weren't a big fan of it though?
No. No.
And you compared it to the Green Inferno? Oh man.
That's my Green Inferno. So if anyone asks me, Nikki, what's a good movie to watch? I'll be like, man, Lords of Salem. It's a good movie. But I mean, it was entertaining. It's just, it felt like a music video. Like, didn't it feel like a music video to you? Like,
it did. But I think that's why you're more critical, because you're, you know,
an actual practitioner. You know?
Yeah. So it's like me. I'm like, I was focusing more on the way the camera worked, the lights, things like just that, the stuff that actually, you know,
like the production aspect of it.
Yeah, production,
cinematography and all that. And I think I focused more on that, and I loved it. So, yeah.
I mean, like visually, it is pretty cool in some parts. Like it definitely has like, I like when there's like neon signs and stuff, and that was pretty cool. It felt more like modernish, you know. But I don't know. I would say it. I give it like a 6 out of 10. That's my rating.
Yeah,
This witch gives it 6 out of 10.
that's not a bad rating. That's not bad.
It's not bad, but
More than half.
Rob Zombie should just stick to the Devil's Rejects. That's all I gotta say.
Just end at the Devil's Rejects.
Yeah, you should go after that.
Oh my god.
Is there any other movies like you would want to mention?
So I already mentioned, like I said, the TV show, The Chilling Tales of Sabrina,
Going on Netflix, right?
which I've been enjoying. I just got on the first season this year just because I haven't had time to like catch up on movies and stuff. And I really liked it. The first episode, I was like, okay, this is a nice, you know, totally opposite of like the Sabrina I grew up with, which I love old Sabrina because it was so like whimsical and silly. And I was like, oh, this is cool. Like the reboot of The Witch. Like everyone wants to be a witch because it's cool. So I like that it's dark. Some of it's kind of cool. Some of it's pretty legit. I think the scenery is what really gets me. Like it's just so beautiful looking in the show.
It is.
Another show I wanted to talk about was American Horror Story, Coven.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Yeah. So Coven is like super like, no, we don't fuck with Coven. That season's bad because it has because it has a lot of like vague, slightly racist-ish undertones to it.
Oh.
You know, because of Marie Laveau and Voodoo and like hoodoo and all that. It's like, I don't think they did enough research. And while some of the scenes where they're doing rituals are badass, none of it's accurate. Like, and I'm like, oh, you know, and it's definitely more about like the dynamic energy between like all the people. But that one, I like it a lot because it's a good show and it has like good character development. But if I wouldn't like tell someone like, oh, this is about witchcraft because it's just not accurate. And I don't know, like the period piece is cool, but I think just the lack of research really is like, oh, and that's not good. Like you shouldn't do that. And they bring like the Papa, I forget his name, Papa Legua, and like they don't even know anything about him. Like he's not just like some dude like, hey, come over here. Like there's this whole thing that invokes him, and it's very sacred to voodoo and voodoo. And it's like, I think they just took a little bit like as a, oh, he's spooky, let's bring him on the show. And I'm like, it's not like that, you know. I don't know. I just, to me, if watch it for fun, but don't take everything with a grain of salt, you know.
They're up there.
And then
I don't think I've seen that season.
It's definitely for women. And then they bring Stevie Nicks, and I don't like everyone. I don't like Fleetwood Mac. Okay, so
What are you talking about? That's like the hottest new band right now.
I'm not a Stevie Nicks fan, and they brought her on. Then she sings, and I'm like, okay, I'm fast forward. I asked all my coworkers at Whole Foods, because I got a job there part-time, like, hey, when you think of witches, what TV movies you think of? And by far, Hocus Pocus, you know, which is so cute. Great wholesome movie.
Yeah, that movie's cute as fuck.
Yeah, wholesome movie. Halloween Town, great wholesome movie. And then another one was Sleeping Beauty. They think of witches, Maleficent, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Another one was The Wizard of Oz, you said it. Another one was Twitches. It was a girl. She was like, Twitches. And I was like, oh my God, that's so cool. And she was like, yeah, I got to see, you know, Black girls be witches. I'm like, dude, that's right. That's so cool.
I've never.
Because you never. It's a Disney. All these are like Disney kids movies. Like these are all people, like girls and men and women that I've asked at my job who are like between the ages of like 18 to 35. And it always comes back to like those Halloween special episodes of witches, which some are good and some are bad. Another one that I thought was really cool was Kiki's Delivery Service and Howl's Moving Castle.
I've seen Howl's Moving Castle.
Mm-hmm. And those two have witches. And then in Howl, he's a male witch. Yeah. And I was like, that's really cool. And those movies are very cute and wholesome.
Yeah.
You know? And then another one too was the Blair Witch Project, which I personally haven't seen in a really long time, so I forgot what it's about. So I don't know if it has any merit to it, but that was another one they talked about. And then The Witches, which not having that reboot I saw, but it's the old one with Angelica Husson.
I don't think I've seen that one.
I haven't seen that one.
Not, I haven't seen it in a long time, but they're doing a reboot. I saw Disney's doing a reboot. I just think it's so funny how like the memories that people have of witches in entertainment is actually pretty wholesome, like overall.
Yeah, that's true.
You know?
I never even thought of that.
Yeah, so like that's why I think it's so weird. I'm like, so if you have all these wholesome memories of witches, why do you see witchcraft as a weird thing? Like that makes no sense to me. Like it's so like opposite of like how you think about it. Like wouldn't you want your grandma, like imagine like your grandma to come home with like a bag full of cool shit and be like, oh hell yeah, here's candy and a costume, like you know? I don't know. I just think it's funny how like everyone's memories of witches is so good, but when you actually say, oh, I practice witchcraft, it's like totally different conversation. It's like, I don't understand. Why can't you just connect your emotion with the same thing? You know, like I don't know. It's weird. It's weird.
So just to kind of like wind things down now, kind of wrap it up, I guess. Do you incorporate any of it into your music?
So funny enough, we do. And not in a super like intense way, just subtle, you know, because it's hard to be I guess a practitioner and like be a functioning human being, like because if you really did everything by the book, you never get anything done. But like one of the things that me and Abe have done, because we've done this together now, whenever he joined the band, it was I made that sigil for our album cover Ritual.
Mhm.
And that sigil, when I made it, I put intention into creating it. It's just our name, DAZE, but into shapes. And it's based off of my favorite sigil, which is the Icelandic protection sigil.
Mhm.
So I just based it off. It looks like a snowflake. So I just thought it looks like a snowflake. And I just based it off of that. And I was like, you know, I want to make this shape and it reminds me of protection. And I want it to be good and I want it to be wholesome. And then whenever we took our band photos, I put it on Abe's left hand. He's a guitar player. So his left hand plays guitar. And I was like, hey, is it okay if I put it in red ink? Red ink is for passion. And I was like, I really want to like, I want this to be really good. And I feel like ever since Abe joined like our friendship and our music, when we write together, it's like really in sync. And I always go back to that day of that photo shoot. I'm like, I really put that intention in his hand, you know? And then just going forward, it kind of just like blossomed, right? So I just think that since then, now I do little things here and there. So we did that for our photo shoot. Whenever the new year hit, 2019, which was one of the craziest but best years, we did a spell together. And I was like, hey, let's do a spell together. I've never done it before with anyone, and you're just beginning. Let's give it a try. And we did like this little spell to like grow creativity, to bond in friendship, to make the days do a lot of stuff. And I swear to God, I mean, last year we did so much shit. Like we toured, we wrote a whole album. Like we traveled across Texas like so many times. I can't believe we did all that in like only a year. And I was like, man, it really worked. So we did it this year. And it was doing pretty good in the beginning of the year, but then COVID happened. But even since then, like it's just been hard as a musician to like be motivated in general. So I don't feel too bad. But I always say like, you know, I made a jar, a spell jar this time. I'm like, we still have the jar. I'm just gonna shake it up when it's time to go again, and then next year we'll do another one. So it's okay. Just settle things here and there, not to be super overwhelming, because you also like you don't want to lose like, oh, I forgot about that. Like I always want to keep it in mind what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I don't want to just do things frivolously to do it all the time. I'm not like that. I want to do stuff with reason. So yeah.
Well, I want to thank you for allowing us to question you on all this stuff. And like I said, I'm sorry if we said anything like that was a bit ignorant, I guess.
Nah.
But do you have any last things you want to ask Eddie? Anything you're interested in?
Yeah, I learned a lot. I don't know off the top of my head now.
No.
I think pretty much covered it.
Anything you want to mention, Nikki, before we head out?
Would you guys ever consider becoming witches or practicing witchcraft in your everyday life?
Honestly, for me, and no, like it doesn't really interest me. I mean, it's very interesting, but as far as like becoming like a part of it, I can't see myself doing it.
Why not?
I don't, it's just not for me. Like because for me, honestly, I see it as a religion, and I'm very anti-religion.
Understandable. I see that. I
So
understand.
that's how I feel about it. But
I think
it is interesting to me.
I think it's portrayed as a religion a lot
Yeah.
because a lot of people need discipline and they need structure. So they like rules. They say they don't, but they like rules. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
But I feel like 90% of the people that I meet that practice witchcraft don't see it as a religion. They see it as their pathway. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like I found this quote in a book, and I'll read it to you. Sorry.
Well, that's
And it was like, a witch is someone who uses their power along with the natural laws of the universe to shape reality in accordance with their purpose. And I was like, I don't really like that, because that sounds really like I'm doing this and I'm going to change everything around me. And that sounds really selfish. And I don't think witchcraft is about that. And I was like, you know what? No, a witch is someone who understands that we are a cycle of this natural world and energy is moved, and that we have the power to influence it and interpret it. That's the way I see it. You know, like everything is here for a reason,
Mhm.
and things aren't just done chaotically. Things happen chaotically, but like things aren't done chaotically. Like I'm not just here talking to you guys for no reason. There's a reason why we're all here. You know, someone who's gonna watch this is a reason they needed that extra bump to be like, oh, I want to get into that. You know, I I feel like someone who is more in tune with like the cycle of life and like energy, and they know that like everything is moved around, everything's recycled. I mean, you can be a witch just for that. It doesn't have to mean you have to follow a religion at all, you know?
Yeah.
But I can see how someone sees it as religion, because it's like, you got to do this and you got to do that and you got to do that. And that makes it seem like a religion. But it's also like, I always go back to cooking. You got to do certain things to get a certain flavor, you
That's
know?
true. Yeah.
It's think of it as art. Like, you got to do certain things to create a certain finish. You can't just do anything you want all the time. That's a little, I mean, that's chaotic, and I fuck with that. But like, you know, you can't expect equal results every time, you know?
No, I get that. What about you, Eddie? You would you be interested in it?
I'm one of those people that, like you said, like it's about like, influencing energy around you and all that. And I would need to try it and like see like the outcome of it, see if anything really does changes around me and like anything like that, or is it just like a placebo thing where it's just in my head, and if that is that what's happening here. But I don't know. The way my brain works, it's like I always need like cold hard evidence that something is real and stuff like that. So like I can't knock it because I've never tried it. I don't like you're the first person I met that's like legitimately a witch, like that is in it because that's their fucking life. Not to be like to me before this, witches were just like movie shit, popcorn stuff.
No, yeah, or like an aesthetic, right? Like the
Yeah.
Hot Topic witch.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
and that's a big thing too. Like, I hate it and I love it. Like, I hate that people, want to dress a certain way and they want to do this, they want to wear chains, black lipstick. And I'm like, that's really cool that you want to accept an alternative style. But I really hope that you look into why this alternative style is a thing. I
Mhm.
don't, like, I don't just wear silver because I like silver. Silver is protection. You correlate with silver. Gold is masculine. Like, simple little things like that. I like my hair purple. It's a coincidence that purple is wisdom. Like, I just feel like it's on my head. It makes me feel like balanced. I don't know what to tell you. Like, it's just one of those things where it's like, I hope that people understand that like there's little gateway things, but in the end, I don't like when people want to look like a witch and then don't know anything about it, and then they just come off as ignorant. I'm like, come on, that's not fair. Like, like you can't just cop all the good things and just not want to accept the bad things too.
Yeah. They're kind of treating it like a costume.
Exactly. And it's not a costume. And
Yeah.
like, I don't get offended when people dress up as witches for Halloween. I'm like, whatever, dude. I can't stop you from doing that. That's fine. You know, if you think a witch is this and that, whatever. But you're partaking in like putting the witch agenda out there. So whatever. At the end of the day, you're still benefiting me. Like at this point, I'm just gonna see it that way.
Yeah.
But I always, whenever people are like kind of doubtful about like witchcraft or like rituals and stuff, I tell them, start your morning with a morning ritual and see how that changes your entire day. And my dad taught me that. And he is like, my dad's like a rocker fool. Like he listens to Slayer. And like he made me go to Catholic church because he was like, I don't want you to go to public school. And he would literally pick me up blaring like Megadeth and Morbid Angel. So like, like he was the one that's like, when you start your day off balanced, that sets the mood for your entire day. That in itself is a form of witchcraft because you're setting your intention for the day and you're doing the ritual to continue your day. And like, seriously, like that in itself, like I tell some people, literally drink some tea, stir it clockwise and do your makeup. Or for men, like shave your face. When you're shaving it, just really just think about like why you're doing this. I want to feel good. I want to take care of myself. Brush your hair, walk your dog with intention. Be like, I want to take care of my dog. And like it just setting that tiny ass little mood changes everything. It changes everything. I'm a firm believer of that.
It sounds very, very positive, like very like positive reinforcement.
Yeah, and I mean, and that's really what it is. Like, it's not all about like negativity all the time. Sometimes you just need the positive thinking, and like that positive thinking is so against how the world is nowadays. It's counterculture. Like, it's not positive toxicity either. Like, it's just tiny little things. I mean, every day it's like more bad shit, and that states like you wake up like, what the fuck's gonna happen today? You know, and it's counterintuitive. Being a witch is counter of what's going on. Mm-hmm. If everything's bad, we need to bring back good, you know, starting with yourself, 100%.
Yeah, well, that was very well said. And I think that's a good spot to end this episode. Like I said, thank you for sharing your wisdom, sharing your knowledge with us. It's very interesting. So
I had fun. And I bothered you. So like last year I was like, hey, let's do it.
Yeah, you're hitting me up about it a lot. And like I was just like, I get lazy sometimes and I'm just like,
no, it's fine.
But yeah, like, I'm glad we finally were able to do it. I feel like
I'm glad it was our first. Yeah, and it was our first video one too, so we'll see how it goes.
Hopefully it goes well. Hopefully people enjoyed it.
Yeah, I hope someone gets inspired by this as well. You know.
Yeah.
I hope so too.
Yeah, they see you and like, oh, yeah, I got some like information I never knew before. So, yeah.
Yeah, and from someone that's like, you know, just an average person. I'm just an average girl. Like I'm not like super goth. You know, I like plants. I have a dog. And you know, I'm just an average person. Average people, man. Like, you know. So I hope so. And I hope somebody sees I almost said Birdie and laughs at him.
So is there anything like you want to plug before we end it?
I want to plug. Oh man, I don't know. Well, Sydney, I love you. I see you back there.
I heard my name.
And I want to thank you guys and you know, letting me get on the show and not being annoyed by me, like
no, not at all.
Listening to you guys every month and I'll tell all my friends, hey, you should listen to my friend's podcast.
Oh yeah.
And if this ever reaches Pam Grossman, I love you so much. If it wasn't for her, I don't know, man. If anyone wants to listen to a podcast that's so eloquent and so articulate, listen to The Witch Wave. She's a writer, and the way she just explains it is like far beyond my comprehension. She just makes you want to like pick up a crystal and be like, yes, this is for me. And my mom, man, I have a crazy weird relationship with my mom, but like if it wasn't for my mom, I don't think I would be far deep into it as I am now. So yeah, my good old crazy mom.
Well, like I said, thank you. And for anybody, hopefully you guys are if you're watching this, it's gonna be on YouTube. You can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, all the podcast networks. We're on that shit. So and you follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook at BetamaxULTD. And thank you guys for listening. Hopefully you were able to get some knowledge out of this. And once again, thank you, Nikki.